Recently in the world of triathlon, it seems lactate testing is the latest craze.
Yep, the pros such as the Norwegians, Gustav, Kristian, as well as the likes of Lionel Sanders, Colin Chartier and Rudy von Berg have all been seen and have been posting videos of themselves being lactate tested during training, and even in some cases doing it themselves.
Yeah, but what is lactate testing? What are they testing for? And what are they using that data for?
Yeah, well today we figure out what actually is lactate testing.
Lactate testing is not new. Sports scientists were using lactate testing to test athletes all the way back in the 80s, and even the portable little lactate analyzers are not new. The AccuSport lactate analyzer, the first of its kind, was released back in the mid-90s.
Yeah, so why are we talking about lactate testing like it's some new technology, some new training method or coaching secret?
The answer is that these little lactate devices are being used in new ways, and there's a bit of confusion about exactly what they've been used for. So today, we're going to dig a little bit deeper, starting with what is lactate testing?
Yeah, so lactate testing is an invasive lab test by taking a small sample of your blood, normally from your fingertip or your earlobes, and then analysing that using a small handheld device. And then the device reveals the concentration in millimoles per litre of lactate in the blood. And I mean, it's called a lab test, but given the size of some of these small handheld devices these days, it can actually be performed anywhere.
Yeah, and it's not expensive either. The devices cost between $250 and $350 each, and then the testing strips themselves cost about $2 per test. And they mostly perform as an exercise test and can be done in a lab or a controlled environment where it's somewhere safe where you can actually take those samples. And we're actually going to do one today. Mark's going to hop on the treadmill now, and we're going to do a ramped exercise test for him and find out where his lactate threshold is. So while he warms up, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into what is lactate. Lactate is a byproduct constantly produced in the body by normal metabolism and by exercise. The concentration in your blood does not normally rise until the production of the lactate exceeds the amount that's been used or its removal. Now, usually the blood concentration of lactate is around 1 to 2 millimoles per litre at rest, but it can rise to above 20 millimoles per litre during really intense exertion. If an athlete knows this point, they can base their training around this knowledge, working below this point, near this point, or above this point for set amounts of time to trigger the adaptations they need for their specific event. Essentially, a lactate test measures the concentration of lactate in your blood at any specific moment, and a lactate threshold test measures exactly where you hit that point where you've got incremental increase in lactate, and you can base your zones and all your future training around that knowledge. And now I think Mark's warmed up enough, so let's get on with his test, starting with the baseline. Oh, your numbers are getting up there now, Mark, nearly at your threshold. But once you know where your threshold is, your heart rate and power numbers actually correspond really well with your lactate levels, and measuring these variables is a lot easier while you are training than measuring your actual blood lactate levels. And unfortunately, a portable, constant lactate monitoring device like those glucose monitoring devices we've seen all the pros wearing on their arms is not yet available.
Thanks for that, mate.
Yeah, well
Cheers. Well, anyway, I think the important question and the big question we've got is, given that the pros are doing this testing out there in the real world, out on the roads, should you be considering this too?
Well, lactate testing is about more than just your threshold. Anytime there's a change in acidity or the pH of your blood that is expected, lactate testing can be used to measure this and the intensity of that change. It's a great systemic indicator of how much work your body has just done. And this is what those pros you see on Instagram doing their lactate testing are doing. They're using lactate testing to measure how hard they have just worked in the preceding short period.
Yeah, but there is an important point on this one. It's only practical and relevant if you have a lot of data on the athlete in question's lactate response. See, everyone's lactate responses are going to be different. One athlete may generate lactate very quickly with high intensity work, whilst another may generate it quite slowly and use it slower too. Yep, two athletes doing exactly the same session may have vastly different lactate responses. In fact, one athlete doing the same session may have a different lactate response due to diet, hormones, or even psychological factors on that particular day.
Yeah, in order to completely understand an athlete's lactate profile and be able to draw conclusions from it and even prescribe training based on it, a coach would need to take literally hundreds of samples in various different scenarios.
Yeah, one way that lactate testing can be used regularly is to assess an athlete's response to any particular session. Say for instance, an athlete completes a session and their lactate is recorded and then repeats that session at either the same pace or a faster pace, but their lactate levels are lower. The coach can conclude that the athlete has improved their performance.
Yeah, but again, some caveats. Those portable lactate measuring devices are only accurate to about 0.5 millimoles per liter. So you need to take every measurement with a pinch of salt. And also, even the smallest drop of sweat or any contaminant can vastly influence the results. So great care has to be taken while you actually take those recordings.
Essentially, lactate testing beyond the occasional lactate threshold test is not very practical or even useful for your everyday triathlete. In fact, unless you've got a team of coaches following alongside you on every single workout and collecting dozens of samples, it's not even very practical for many pro triathletes either.
Yeah, until a wearable, constant monitoring device for lactate levels is available. An occasional lactate threshold test is a useful tool, but probably leave the daily lactate testing to the Norwegians and their team of coaches. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Have you tried lactate testing? Have you done a lactate threshold test? Or have you considered using daily lactate testing to improve your performance? If you have, we'd love to hear in the comments section down below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button, and thanks for watching.